Didn't take any slackers?
Outfits, armor.
I put my back into my work. Took a hammer to your head?
Nora in the Daunt. Now I...
Takes what?
Proper survey of the map.
Salutations, fair maiden. Who might you be?
Whatever you're having.
How goes it, Harry?
Ah, Savior! Over here!
Play! Don't you have somewhere better to be?
Savior, thank you for taking the time. And my condolences that you had to endure Ulvan's bloviating.
I've dealt with worse. It sounds like he's really trying to put you over the barrel.
The Karja purposely let bristlebacks into the Daunt. It's completely absurd. But the louder and longer he says it, the more support he'll get for his damned concession decree.
How did the bristlebacks get into the Daunt?
No one knows for sure. The first report of them came from west of the quarry. But unless they have wings I don't know about, I don't see how they could have come over the mountains.
No other way in.
The only way I know about is barren light. Look, if you can get to the bottom of this, I can offer a considerable bounty in return. Help me shut Ulvund up.
Decree that Ulvund wants.
He wants the Sundom to designate portions of the Daunt as Oseram holdings. Only the portions, mind you, that produce any value.
Let me guess. Because he stands to profit somehow?
Exactly. With the Daunt under Oseram law, he could secure more investment for their numerous ventures.
He can't get those investments without the concession?
No. Not while there's a chance the Sundom could revoke their access. Hence, why the concession is so important to him. And why blaming the Karja for the bristlebacks, no matter how absurd, works in his favor.
Get stuck out here.
I asked for the posting, believe it or not. Overseeing the entire valley on behalf of the Sun King? It was an honor. Is an honor, I mean.
But your job would be a lot easier without someone like Ulvund blasting hot air all the time?
Ulvund's not going anywhere. He's been around longer than I have. Even fancies himself the founder of change. Now, I'll find a way to live with him. I have to.
How does blaming the Karja for the bristlebacks help Ulvund get his concession?
Look around. This may be the Sundom, but Chainscrape is all gears and rust and bad ale. Claiming that the Karja loosed the bristlebacks in order to intimidate Oseram laborers into obedience. Well, let's just say no one here has forgotten the atrocities of the mad Sun King. Even with the valley working again, Ulvund hopes he can stir up enough resentment against the Karja to call for a strike.
And if the Oseram refuse to work, unless the concession is signed, you won't have a choice.
Correct. The reconstruction of Barren Light must continue.
You said the bristlebacks were first spotted west of the quarry?
Yes, according to one terrified laborer, said the ground trembled before they came charging down the hillside. He took off and ran all the way here.
Good place to start looking, then.
If you learn the truth, maybe Ulvund will stop blaming the Karja for every problem under the sun, and maybe then he'll actually focus on rebuilding Barren Light instead.
see where I put my drink. Anyone. Over here. Anyone.
Don't you think I've forgotten? I never forget. Almost ready to go?
You heard the whistle. Time to go.
But I was supposed to have 3 escorts.
I'm off to Baron Lightwaddy's. Like Aloy said, captain's orders. You can stay here.
Abandoned to the riffraff? I think not.
Guess you're coming with me then. See you there, Aloy.
Well, now that that's done, the embassy can finally get underway. If I can get through it, I'll be able to track down Silence. Hades. Maybe even a Gaia backup. Guess I could head straight for Barren Light. Or poke around the Daunt some more first. And maybe take Petra up on that drink.
Bella doesn't take any slackers. That wasn't slacking.
He's the one that gave those bristle bats. My cup is dead. Give it a rest, would you?
Hey, Ray. Change your mind about that brew?
Fancy a game of strike.
Come for that beer after all, eh? Here, sit down. Get a pint in her hand. Wasn't expecting you to swing by.
Since when do I do what's expected?
There's that spark. Fire and spit.
Fire and spit.
That's a blast from the bellows. Won't fix the forge, but at least I can forget about my troubles for a while.
Like what?
Well, things aren't as bad since you got this place running again. But we still got Olvin grating the gears about his concession decree. If you don't put that down, I'll come over there and show you how that game ends. Anyway, right now, I'm just worried about those refugees out from Sunfall. To come all this way enduring Forge knows what.
Shadow Carja refugees. What are they doing in the Daunt?
Looking for a new home, I gather. They're camped out by an old trailhead, southwest of here. And therein lies the problem. A Stormbird crashed up on the cliffs last week, and Talon Cleanbrokers had his eye on the salvage ever since. But the refugees have barred entrance. Mustn't interrupt their sun-scorched ritual. Something about finding a twilight path.
Huh. I never heard them talk about that before.
Yeah, well, these particular Shadow Carja are an odd bunch. But overall, they're peaceful folk. Not that it matters to Talon. He'll crack some heads to get to that salvage. Maybe you could swing by, convince him to set up camp somewhere else?
So the bristlebacks in the Daunt. Where did they come from?
That's the thing. No one rightly knows. They just showed up one day, rampaging around the valley like they exploded out of a forge. Lost some good people. But bless the bellows, you cleared them out and got this place working again. That put a dent in Olvin's plans. Now, if only there were some way to smash them all together and run them out of town.
But how could bristlebacks in the Daunt help Olvind?
2 words. Concession decree. Since no one knows where the bristlebacks came from, Olvind has taken to blaming the Carja for them. He's hoping to dig up enough old resentments to get a strike going until the concession's signed. This is just his latest attempt. He's been trying to rile up the workers since the day he rolled into town.
And people actually believe him?
Lots have suffered at the hands of the Mad King during the Red Raids. Give him half a reason, they'll blame the Carja for anything.
Damn Carja slavers.
I thought you'd be back in Freeheap.
Well, after the big battle at Meridian, I went back, but realized it was running smooth. Didn't need me. Heard about the rebuilding out at Barren Light. Figured they could use another hammer. Been scraping by ever since.
You could always leave.
And go back. Nah. I ain't one to leave a lit forge. Besides, someone's got a Vicky wheel for the...
Jeez.
Well, they don't call themselves Shadow Carja for one. At least, not anymore. They're some other brand of sun-crazed. They're peaceful through and through. Don't seem to want for nothing except a place to live, pray, and just enough food to keep from starving.
So they're just camped outside by a trail, blocking entry to a wrecked Stormbird, waiting for... what, exactly?
Don't rightly know, but I'll tell you this. Should they ever wise up and salvage it, a Stormbird heart is worth a lot. And if they get there first, then by Ostrom law, it's theirs. Not that Tolan Cleanbrokers ever lost sleep over any law-breaking.
Who is this Tolland Cleanbroker?
Just some chuff-huffing pondsman. Got a shop here in town. Lived in Chainscrape since there was a Chainscrape. He and Ulvin go back a ways. Like a pair of coals and a campfire, those two.
So Tolland works for Ulvin?
Ha! Ulvin might think so, but Tolland scrapes up his own scams. And he ain't the type to let a few refugees get between him and Stormbird salvage.
So about Ulvin.
Around here, everything's about Ulvin.
How'd he end up in charge?
He got here early, like a squirrel smelling a fat nut. He knew rebuilding Barren Light would need stone and timber. So he jangled purses all over Mainspring, getting investors to front claims on anything in the Daunt that might be worth a damn. Thing is, all the bankers back home know this is Carja land, and the Sun King can revoke those claims at any time. That's why he's desperate for the magistrate to sign off on action decree.
This concession decree, what is it exactly? And how would it help Ulvin?
It's pig diddle, that's what.
A writ that would put all Osram claims in the Daunt under Osram law, even though they're on Carja land. It would mean that any existing ore, stone, and timber claims couldn't be revoked by the Carja. No more risk, no more hesitation for investors back in the claim to pour in the shards and expand their business. And since Ulvin has a stake in all those claims, it would make him richer than a scrapper in a junk heap. Not to mention Chainscrape would become an Osram municipality, so he could buy enough votes to call himself an elderman. He's a sly old badger, I'll give him that. Figures if he keeps up the pressure, eventually the magistrate will sign.
Well, if I'm up that way, I'll talk to the refugees. Try to convince them to move.
Much appreciated. They have it rough. Don't need Tollan making it rougher.
Petra said Tolland has a shop here in Chainscrape. I could have a word with him first.
Make this happen, I'll keep you here in shape for the rest of your life.
Hey, Milda. Milda. I took some of your stew last time I went into the wilds. Kept me going for a week. Felt like I could have put a strider in a sleeper hold.
Enjoy it while it lasts.
Sounds like you're serving up some impressive provisions here.
Not again. You can have the discount too, but you'll have to come back later.
I think you have me confused with someone else.
Ulvin didn't send you?
No.
Oh, my apologies. It's just that his minions won't stop pestering me. Now I've even worn out my special griddle. Since I'm in the midst of a crisis, perhaps you could skip to what it is you wanted?
Some of your food?
Of course.
Are Ulvin's people causing you problems?
Oh, yeah. They constantly demand my best, but the equipment I need to make my signature dishes isn't built for batch cooking. And don't get me started on the Ulvin discount they feel so entitled to.
And if you refuse?
I make meals, not trouble.
How did you end up in Chainscrape?
Heard about a new and upcoming town at the edge of the frontier. Where there's a town, there's a tavern. I was in need of work. So I got myself out here and started cooking. Some of these people had never tasted proper boars and berries stew before. Anyway, next thing I knew, people kept coming back. Guess they liked my food. Or the ale.
Your last customer mentioned your cooking really kept him going out in the wild. Where I'm headed, I could use some of that.
I would be happy to oblige, especially since you have the decency to ask pleasantly.
But
But my special groove griddle is no more. Without it, I can't cook any of my signature dishes. I hate to think what'll happen when I'm forced to refuse Olvin or his goons. Even if I already had the right ingredients, there's nothing I can do. Unless you can source me a temporary replacement?
what do you need?
For the ingredients, a few pieces of decent wild meat, and I'd say a big handful of bitter leaf stems. That'll do. As for the griddle, a corrugated metal panel might suffice until I can have a new one forged. You'd likely find one in a scrounger pile if you follow the river to the northeast. Don't worry, I'll clean it first. You'll have no issue finding boars and bitter leaf on your way. Assuming you're as much a hunter-gatherer as your clothing suggests.
Thanks, Mildef. I'll keep an eye out.
So that's what gratitude sounds like.
And don't let anyone push you around.
If you say so.
I'm sorry, I'll be right with you.
Okay, I'm not saying it's a bad idea. I'm saying it's overkill.
It's a weapon. Kill is the point.
Not if it blows the user's arm off. Oh, just stop talking.
Where are we? Ah! So, am I right?
Actually,
But you're just nuts. I am with a customer.
Customer.
I got it. Try high. Ba-boom. One shot kill. Guaranteed.
You are in the right place at the right time, Red.
How would you like to be the proud owner of the world's first machine-enhanced,
Explosive, done in one, machine wrecking,
yet perfectly safe, javelin thrower?
Are you two from around here?
Nah, the claim. Dad sent us out west in search of some unknown opportunity. Said we'll know it when we see it.
Sounds like you had other ideas.
Let's just say that opening another trading post for my parents isn't how I want to make my mark in this world. I imagine traveling alone must be nice.
So she's your partner?
My apprentice and my sister. She's why we're out here. There was an incident. Another incident.
Involving explosives?
ba-boom.
And Dad's precious homebrew. He shipped us out the next day.
Huh. Tell me more about this weapon of yours.
Saw a scroll when I was a kid by some Karsha scholar who wandered out west. Had a scary drawing of a Tenakth warrior hunting with a kind of javelin thrower. Effective? Yes. Basic? Undoubtedly. But coming out here made me remember it, and I'm on the brink of vastly improving the tool's archaic design.
Whereas I will perfect it.
I can use machine parts to enhance the user's throw, increase the projectile's velocity.
Well, Boomer here is adamant that enhancing the projectile is better, namely with explosive tips.
Boomsticks.
Why not both?
That could work.
There's one small snag. I need the parts to make the first working model. Well, for starters, I'll need...
Charger horns. Intact.
Yeah, that. Just be sure to shoot them off before the machine goes down. Otherwise, they break. But the real innovation, and keep it to yourself, is a fang horn rib.
There's a mean one east of here. Blow it sky high.
Boomer! You get him for me. It's yours. My treat.
You have a deal.
What? Drinks later.
Don't let Petra hear you say that. She'll hammer your head out of your mouth. You just gonna stand there?
I could get around faster if I find a charger to override.
It's you. The machine hunter that bailed out the Cashapp.
Never heard it put that way before.
What do you want?
Heard you've been hassling refugees up by the cliffs.
Yeah, well, you heard wrong. There's salvage up there. A stormbird. Nailed it myself with the harpoon here in town. Not an easy shot if I do say so myself. It clipped its wing, and it crashed into the old tower up there. Killed it quick. Yeah, so if anyone's hassling anyone, it's the Shadow Cashapp filth that's blocking the way up to my claim.
And you're ready to crack some skulls to get to it?
No need. It's a raggedy bunch. Probably all starved before I have to lift a finger.
We'll see about that.
Oh yeah, we will, won't we? Now shop's closed to Cashapp lovers. On your blasted way.
You gotta move! You ever wonder if this is working? You hear about that?
Hammer, tongs! I hope Corvin and the others are doing better than I am.
Hey, Savior. Think you can clear out
What
my
happened to you?
That damn mine is what happened to me. It won't be the last injury if Olvin keeps shoving those tongs into those tunnels.
What mine?
Northeast of Chainscrape, where the river ends. I told Corvin we should stop when the first cave-in happened, but Olvin probably threatened to cut off her pay. Or worse.
How about you slow down and take me through it? How come Olvin's in charge? Don't these mines belong to the Cashapp?
Try telling Olvin that. He brought in all the backing to get them open. Might as well own them. Fire and spit. You ask him. He owns us as well.
You mentioned you were injured in a cave-in.
Yeah, a couple days ago. That's how I hurt this blasted leg. Corvin and the others were opening a new vein while I was checking on an older one. As soon as their blast hit, the tunnel I was in collapsed. Might have dodged it if I wasn't running on barely a spark of sleep. We were pushing too hard and too fast.
And you're afraid Corvin and the others might not be as lucky if it happens again.
Mm-hmm. Hit the nail right on the head.
Who's Corvin?
He's their foreman, and a damn good one. The kind that knows how to deal with management when it gets unreasonable. But Olvend, his demands go beyond unreasonable. Corvin's been doing his best to appease him. He even blamed himself for my injury when it was Olvend who ordered the extra shifts.
Sounds like a good guy.
That's why we all put up with the long hours and lousy conditions. But if the whole mine becomes unstable, I'd rather suffer Olvend's wrath than die buried in rubble.
I could check in on your crew if I'm in the area.
I would appreciate that. Thank you.
It seems like bitterleaf likes to grow on rocky terrain. Okay, I think I have enough bitterleaf. There. That should be enough wild meat for Mildev.
Be welcome, Outlander.
Ah, hello again. How goes your search?
About that. What did you need to make your signature dish?
A corrugated metal panel, for starters. I can use it until I get another groove griddle forged. You could probably pull one out of a scrounger scrap pile northeast of here. I'll clean it first, don't worry. And for the dish itself, some wild meat and a handful of bitter leaf stems. Then I can get cooking.
I should be going.
Right.
I'll shake it out as I go. I'll leave you in the dust. Scroungers. Mildev said I could find a metal panel in their scrap piles. I'm not giving up.
Steel to steel!
No metal panel. I'll check another scrap pile. I think I have everything I need for Mildiv. Good thing, too. I can use a decent meal. I'll save this for a dyer. I'm gonna leave you here. Canister will explode if I use a fire arrow on it. I should dismount.
Be welcome, Elvin. Better than sticking around the hotel.
Ah, there you are. I happen to receive another visit from Olvin himself. He was pushy, but I stood my ground. And dare I say it, I even got my own back. Yes, I did.
I'm listening.
When I made his meal, I used 3 pinches of salt. Instead of 2.
Each journey begins with a single step, I guess. I think I have everything you asked for.
Then just as you have inspired me, let us see if I can return the favor. Time to cook.
Wow. Mildif, that was inspired.
Next time you want the best provisions, you know where to find me. And your next order of any dish will be on the house.
Thanks. And don't forget to stand up for yourself.
Funny you should say that. As it happens, I'm already cooking up my next portion of resistance. Hope to see you again.
To the claim! Am I lost, or am I exactly where I'm meant to be? Got all the bristle
It
back.
might be a good idea to stock up on some food before I head back out. And see what else Mildif's cooking up.